Good afternoon all and welcome to today's presentation, Japan, a virtual vacation. My name is John Gunning. Over the next 40 to 45 minutes, we'll be showcasing this beautiful country known as Japan. We'll be hitting the highlights, areas such as Tokyo, Kyoto, Hakone, but we'll be also going a little bit further afield to give you a great insight into what the country has to offer from north to south. Of course, many of you will have been invited to today's presentation via a travel advisor. So we'd like to say thank you very much to all of our travel advisors who have been with us over the last 4 or 5 months on these virtual vacations. If anyone has missed any of our virtual vacations or would like a recording to any of them, please let us know. We've looked at Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, Tahiti, South Africa, Kenya, Botswana, Thailand, and I may have even missed 1 or 2. But if you would like any of those presentations, we have recordings that we're more than happy to share with our travel advisors who can then pass it on to any of their friends, family, potential clients, or anyone who may have traveled or booked with them in the past. Of course, things have changed. The world has changed since the start of the year, and what we have learned is those who were affected by the coronavirus and were traveling at the time were really thankful that they booked with a travel advisor. The reason being is a travel advisor has brought so much to anyone who travels around the world, and there's just a couple of points that we've come up with, and we seem to work across the board and in the industry, is that a travel advisor will give you peace of mind. They will give you great customer service. Isn't it really important in this day and age to be able to pick up the phone and dial a number, and then on the other end of the line actually have a human talk to you as opposed to getting prompted to go all the way through? That's what our travel advisors do. They maximize your budget. They can show you where you can spend money to get the most out of your trip. They give you better choices because many of our travel advisors may have been to the destination. Of course, they save time. The great thing about saving time is it allows you to do something else as opposed to planning a destination you may not know a lot about, but obviously have a strong interest in. They give you a personal service. They have great insight and expertise because they have most likely been there or they've done an extensive training on the destination. They also provide great documents. They're a consumer advocate. And of course, they have industry contacts, which was very important. When people were in different places around the globe, having someone who knew somebody was very important. And many of your travel advisors knew someone that could get people home when this all went down. Of course, the question at the moment is, when can I travel to Japan? Are they opening up their borders? Now, Japan itself has done very well in handling the coronavirus, the COVID-19. They've had less than 20,000 cases. So they are opening back up internally at the moment to, obviously, their own domestic market. So Japanese residents or Japanese citizens moving in and around the country throughout. We are anticipating and we're hoping to see some travel to Japan opening up in the last quarter of this year and more realistically probably early into next year. One of the big factors that we'll have having to consider moving to any of our destination is not so much the amount of cases they have in country, it'll be how many cases the country you're coming from. So at the moment, it's all about the US getting their cases under control, and then we'll be able to obviously go to different countries. So at the moment, we'd be looking at planning a vacation to Japan, obviously late this year or early next year is the best way moving forward. We do keep all of the information that we get from our tourism boards posted up onto our Asia Answers website, and we work very closely with the tourism boards such as JNTO, which is the Japanese tourism board, and we get a lot of information from them that we then post in regards to how things are changed. As you can imagine, things change every day. So what I say today may be slightly different tomorrow. So very important to chat to your travel advisor when you are considering your next destination. However, planning is going to be very important moving forward and more so than ever before. So start planning that trip to Japan right now. And if you do want a little bit more of an insight into Japan or any of the destinations that we cover, chat to your travel advisor and they'd be more than happy to send you an e-copy of any of our brochures, Asia, Africa and the South Pacific, which is areas that we have covered in our virtual vacation program. But for the next 40 to 45 minutes, it's a virtual vacation to Japan. Japan is Asia's most sophisticated destination and also its most paradoxical. Japan's old world elegance compares more to European cities than to other Asian cities. Yet it is very futuristic driven. It is definitely 100% Asia. Of course, it doesn't matter where you live throughout North America, there are so many different avenues into Japan, with direct flights from 18 major US airports, and there's also a number throughout Canada as well. However, when we think of Japan, what initially jumps to mind is it being a techno-modern and fast-paced environment. 100% correct. You know, they're at the head in regards to technology. However, Japan retains a deep reverence for its meditative arts such as tea ceremonies, calligraphy, and flower arranging. Now, any of these skills, arts, can be arranged with your travel advisor so you can participate in something like this when you're in the destination. So let your travel advisor know what you're looking for. Now, when we speak of iconic symbolism of countries, the bullet train jumps to mind when I think of Japan. High-speed rail. Over 50 years ago, Japan became the first country to develop high-speed rail service. The bullet train zaps travellers from point to point at approximately 200 miles per hour. Yet there is such a demand for tickets on Japan's 7-star slow train journey that a lottery is used to determine who gets to ride it. As you could imagine, for those visiting Japan, you don't want to miss the sights. You don't want to go, woo, there's Mount Fuji. You want to be able to take in the beautiful sights as you cruise on by. So those two major modes of transport on train, the slow train and then the bullet train, are great ways to get in and around the country, but also to see the country as well. To understand on how quick it is to move around and how easy it is to use the networks of high-speed trains is illustrated on this map. The bullet train itself, to get from Tokyo to Kyoto, which is the orange line, which you can see on the screen, is around about 3 hours. However, if you are looking at being on time, Japan certainly has it down pat, because the bullet train experiences delays of only 54 seconds on average. I can tell you what, I've lived in Australia, Canada, here in the US now. I wish all of our trains ran as close to schedule as they do in Japan. Of course, when you speak about moving around the country, moving to the north of Tokyo and specifically up into Hokkaido, which is the island right up here in the top, to Sapporo, the capital there, that train journey only takes about 4 hours. And this was opened in about 2016, 2017. It's only been open for about 4 years. But a great way to link the big city to the great ski fields, which line literally anywhere north of Tokyo all the way up into Sapporo and beyond. Speaking of fast, a Japanese man was the inventor of the world's fastest and cheapest meal. You guessed it, the instant ramen noodle. I'm sure we've all tried it or have all definitely seen it. However, there are more Michelin star restaurants per capita in Japan than there are in France. Japan is a fascinating country to visit. Moving from modern to traditional and back again might bring on a severe case of cultural whiplash, but visitors are never bored and leave feeling completely enchanted by this multifaceted land and its elegant people. Now, the country itself consists of over 4,000 islands. However, the 4 largest islands are Hokkaido, which is here in the north, the main island of Honshu, which is where most travellers spend their time. This is areas such as Kyoto and Tokyo. We then have the smallest of the 4 big islands being Shikoku, and then we have the last of the islands, Kyushu, which is down in the south. Another island is slightly south of here, of Kyushu, further down, and it's very synonymous with American travellers, which is Okinawa, where we have a large contingency of US military base. So many people may know Okinawa. And that's another great area that we'll cover off today. It's further south where we are looking at the moment. The people of Japan have gone through many transitions, and if we go back in time, Japan's first strong central government developed in Nara around about 710 through to 794. So it existed for about 80 or 90 years. The Aristotic people of this time enchanted Buddhism and Chinese calligraphy into the way of life, which we still see today. However, those living in agricultural villages followed Shintoism, and the site you see on the screen right now of these Torii gates is one of the most photographed shots in all of Japan. We jump forward to 794 and we go into the Heian era, which existed from 794 through to 1185. During this time, we started to see a real Japanese feel coming about. We saw imperial courts turned into enduring art. We saw poetry and prose being invented. And then we also saw the samurai warrior class developed. Samurai lords, called shoguns, seized government power in 1185 and ruled Japan in the name of the emperor until 1868, so around about 700 years, when a new constitutional monarchy was established and the power of the shoguns was broken. This was called the Meiji Restoration. The deity of Japan continued to democratize the country even further. Japan formalized its rule over Korea and seized northern China during the First World War. We jump forward. The Emperor Hirohito, who was born in 1926 and died in 1989, oversaw Japan's aggressive expansion during the Second World War. He also oversaw its surrender and its rebirth as a modern industrialized nation. Of course, traveling to Japan, there are so many different options, and we find some of the better carriers that we've been associated with our travel advisors, but there are some great carriers out there, is EVA Air, which flies via Taipei. They have all the classic classes of service on board, and as we all know, flight will change in the future. However, hopefully we'll still be guided by these beautiful Hello Kitty staff. Doesn't matter where you are on board a Hello Kitty plane, you're going to have food, and every seat has something to do with Hello Kitty, even the outside of the plane. Of course, another great option is to fly via Cathay Pacific via Hong Kong. However, there are other options such as Singapore Airlines via Singapore. Obviously, there's Japan Airlines as well with direct flights, American Airlines as well. So it really depends when flying to Japan on whether or not you're looking at the most cost-effective way to go, the shortest time, limited amount of layovers, or where you would like your layover to be. And your travel advisor can make sure that this all seems like a seamless process. US visitors do not need an advanced visa for Japan. Requirements are a passport valid for 6 months beyond their scheduled return date, and a blank visa page for the entry stamp, which is given free on arrival. No medication or shots are required for travel to Japan from the US. Japanese is the traditional and the national language of Japan. However, fortunately, English is a mandatory subject in school for 6 years, which doesn't mean that the average Japanese can speak fluent English. However, it does allow them to communicate and help you when needed. And they also love trying it out. I've stayed in Japan numerous times. I've traveled and visited friends and went on holidays there. And I can tell you, they go out of their way to try their English, and they are always more than welcoming in regards to trying to help you. When we start talking of value and we start talking of currency, the Japanese yen, which is 100 yen, equals about 93 US cents. 0.93 US cents. So it's around about $1 US will get you 100 yen. However, with that being said, many people will often say, oh, Japan is more expensive than other countries in Asia. Typically speaking, it may be a little bit more than other countries. However, there is great value in Japan. What you need to be aware of with Japan is there are so many different classes of service for accommodation, transfers, and activities that your travel advisor can work with you to ensure that your budget is fit. Because even getting a transfer from the airport to the hotel, there can be 5 or 6 different classes of services, which may mean direct services, shared services. It may also mean whether or not you get a bottle of water. These little details that many people would not consider when they first make a transfer or a booking from the hotel to the airport and vice versa. So Japan, I find it works out about the same value as the US, but you need to know where to look. Now, Japan has a climate similar to the east coast of the US for most visitors who are traveling on the main island of Honshu. March through to May and September through November are the prime times, okay? And June through to August is humid and can bring about a little bit of rain. Having said that, the northernmost island of Hokkaido is delightful in June and July, and skiers flock to Japan in January and February. There is never a bad time to go to Japan. It just depends on what you're looking for. Now, obviously one of the most popular times to visit Japan is during the cherry blossom season, and it is considered the peak time to be in Japan. The blossoms are celebrated for their exquisite but fleeting beauty and have inspired everything from poetry to flavoured chewing gum. During cherry blossom season, people take picnics to the park with many cherry blossoms and party underneath the flowers. Cherry blossom season is approximately April to May, moving from south to north. Timing the peak is very difficult, but if your trip happens to coincide with it, your photos will definitely be gorgeous. Packing. There are no particular or special items of clothing required for Japan, although skimpy clothes should not be worn to temples and shrines. One very useful item to wear daily is a pair of shoes that are easily removed. Slip-ons, slip-offs are perfect. Shoes are often removed to enter homes, monuments, and rooms with woven straw flooring. Etiquette. We all know when we're traveling, it's always very important to know the etiquette. You know, in Japan, a please and a thank you are very much appreciated. However, shoes. Remove your shoes and use the visitor slippers provided to enter homes, Japanese inns and other public places. And sometimes a second set of slippers that are only used to enter the toilet room are also provided. Easily removable shoes are a good idea in Japan. Now, bathing in Japan. One washes before entering the soaking tub, never using soap in the tub. Sit on the small footstool and use the bucket or handheld shower to wet your body. Lather your body, shampoo it, shave it, rinse it, and then enter the tub to soak and relax with a completely clean body. Now, bowing. Most Japanese do not expect foreigners to bow from the waist, but a deep head nod is appreciated. Shaking hands is not common, especially among women. Hokkaido is the first island that we look at in the north, the snowy northern frontier of Japan. It is the northernmost of Japan's 4 main islands. Hokkaido is dominated by its climate. It can often be cold and has great natural beauty. Somewhat like Alaska, but with fantastic skiing and snowboarding to boot. The coldest city in Japan is Asakawa, which is in the middle of Hokkaido, which you can see here, but it does have some great festivals, such as the Snow Festival to attend. This is a great place for those who like to leave the beaten track behind and explore less developed places. Now, if you are looking at skiing or snowboarding and want to go somewhere exotic, this is the place to go. Hokkaido is a great suggestion. It is home to the 1972 Winter Olympics as well. I have been here twice to a place called Niseko up on Hokkaido, and it's the best snow I've been anywhere in the world. We now move down to the main island of Honshu and to the region known as the Tohoku region. This area is known for its seafood, skiing, and hot springs. Traditionally a rural backwater with a harsh climate, today's Tohoku offers the traveller some of the best scenery in Japan. In winter, the snow country of the western Japan seacoast racks up some of the highest snowfall figures in the world, which also, as you can imagine, allows for great skiing, great snowboarding, but then also a great hot bath at the end of the day, so to speak. There's so many great hot springs in and around this region. Many people would suggest that this would be a person who would visit Tohoku would be a repeat traveller destination. We now move down onto the coastal plains to the area known as Kanto, which encompasses the big cities such as Tokyo and Yokohama. Now, almost every visitor to Japan will go to Kanto. The Kanto region of Japan, on the eastern side of the main island of Honshu, is a broad plain dominated by and nearly synonymous with the mega cities of Tokyo and the surrounding suburbs. However, in feudal times, Kanto was the home of the shogunate and Tokyo was the military seat of power. Japan's commercial center was Osaka and the cultural center was Kyoto. So things have changed and some things have stayed the same. Now, our little tip, learning to use the subway in Tokyo or any of the big cities is a must. It's also fun, but means travelers can get from point to point quickly and cheaply. And you will find a lot of the tours that your travel advisor books for you will use the public transport system to get around. Plus, there are entire underground shopping malls developed around the subway stations. We now continue our journey southwest to Shibu, which is the mountainous middle region of the main island. It is dominated by the Japan Alps, including Mount Fuji. and Japan's fourth largest city, Nagoya. This area has beautiful landscapes, rivers, mountains, and forests to boot. And of course, is home to, yes, you guessed it, the beautiful Mount Fuji. Now, for those who want to go somewhere that the Japanese go for their holidays, Kamakochi is possibly the most stunning alpine destination in Japan. Upmarket visitors stay at the Frank Lloyd Wright designed lodge, the Imperial Hotel. Hiking during fall foliage season is definitely spectacular. Then we move down into the region known as Kansai, the ancient capital. Now, before the Meiji Restoration, Kansai was where the center of culture, Kyoto, and commerce, Osaka, was situated. Japan's oldest capital, Nara, and the port city of Kobe are also in this Kansai region. Of course, almost every traveler will go to somewhere in Kansai, most likely into Kyoto. Our tip here is to stay in a traditional inn when you're in this region. Now, before the Meiji Restoration, Kansai, as we touched on, was the culture capital, so you can see here. And Kyoto is now definitely one of those must places to visit. Osaka was the commerce capital, and Japan's oldest capital, as we touched on, was Nara. Whilst in Nara, you'll also have an opportunity to go to the Nara Park and feed the deers. And here is Kobe, the port city. Now, when you are in this region, it doesn't matter where you are in Japan, but we would suggest in this region to stay at a traditional Japanese inn. These are minimalistic, but they have all the quintessential tastes and needs for a splendid stay. It doesn't matter if you stay in a 4-star or a 5-star, they are absolutely amazing. You may even be tempted to stay in a Buddhist monastery or temple as well, where you'll eat like a Buddhist monk and you'll also work like a Buddhist monk as well. We continue on the main island down to this region here, down into Chugoku. And this area is very well known from Hiroshima, the city that was hit by the atomic bomb during the Second World War. It is also now very important home to the Peace Park in Hiroshima City. Now, our tip, a visit to Hiroshima is made more special by learning the true story of Sadako, a 12-year-old girl who died of radiation poisoning and became a symbol of international peace. While in hospital, Sadako folded over 1,400 origami cranes after hearing that a wish would be granted to anyone who made 1,000 cranes. Now, the smallest of the 4 big islands is Shikoku Island. This island here is very popular for those who want to delve into the history. It is famous for its Buddhist pilgrimage, which consists of 88 temples around the island. The entire pilgrimage is 750 miles in length, and is very rewarding as you stop along the 88 temples along the way. And the final major island is that of Kaishu, the birthplace of Japanese civilization. Not considered a tourist route, but also very popular in regards to economics and business. It is home to areas such as Fukuoka and also Nagasaki. And Nagasaki may be remembered because it was bombed alongside Hiroshima. Now, slightly down south, and it wasn't on that initial map, was Okinawa, where we do have a number of our US military bases. It's a semi-tropical southern island chain, and the largest of the Okinawan islands is called Okinawa and is home to a US airbase. Of course, there's many things to see on Okinawa, such as the Shurajo Castle, the aquarium. Now, if you're staying on the main island, the most likely way that you will get around is on the bullet train. However, if you are going to some of the outer islands, you would look at flying from one of the airports out to Okinawa or the surrounding regions. We're now going to look at a traditional 7-day itinerary, and it's called the Golden Route. I'll give you a little bit of information on the cities, which will be Tokyo, Hakone, and then also Kyoto, and give you an idea of what each day would be shaped about and ways in which your travel advisor can put together a seamless trip through Japan. And this is based on a week. Now, the first-time visitors to Japan usually would take on this type of routing because you're most likely going to fly into Tokyo. Tokyo is a starting point. It's hustle and bustle. It's moving fast. It literally is one of the world's most cutting-edge capitals. Tokyo is a city of contrast, though, famous for its cutting-edge modernity, neon-lit landscapes, and the towering skyscrapers. It is also home to sprawling parklands and beautiful gardens as well. But let's not forget about the peaceful shrines, the temples, and the lovingly tended gardens that surround many of these majestic sites. For those that are looking for modern, you can't go past Tokyo for manga pop culture, fashion, and high-tech trends and conspicuous consumption of technology. They are literally at the forefront of what's happening around the world. However, below the surface is a city that has its roots in an ancient heritage. Shinto shrines and Buddhist temples stand close to skyscrapers as a reminder of a more contemplative time and at the heart of the hyperactive center. Of course, in the middle lies the serene imperial palace, the home of the ruling emperor that provides a tangible link to the city's historical past. Of course, behind the shopping and entertainment and commercial emporia can be found quaint wooden houses, private gardens with meticulously clipped bonsai trees, and of course, a zen-like calm of areas such as the Hamaruku Gardens. The city's reputation as a mega expensive metropolis is often ill-conceived, and visitors can take advantage of inexpensive izakaya bars and also neighborhood cafes that serve delicious noodles and rice dishes as well. So your trip would start in Tokyo. On day one, you'd arrive, be it on EVA Air or any other number of different carriers that are available. Arrive into the airport. You'll be greeted by a guide who will have your name on a board, and then it's a 60 to 90-minute drive to your hotel. Now, this can be dependent on time of year, time of day, weekend, day of the week, those sorts of things. The remainder of your day is at leisure. So that is to get yourself grounded, get yourself established into your hotel. You may look at staying somewhere like the Park Hotel or a 5-star property such as the Conrad. Day one, you can sort of get a feel for what Japan is all about, because on day two, you're going to start some touring. Okay, you're going to start to experience Japan firsthand. Take a day tour of this fascinating city with a local guide, making use of Tokyo's comprehensive and user-friendly public transport system. The day begins with a visit of the Meiji Shrine, a shrine dedicated to the popular deified spirit of Emperor Meiji and a popular place for traditional Japanese weddings. Then you'll take a walk down Otomomoto Sando Shopping Street, a broad tree-lined avenue home to the flagship stores of the world's top fashion brands. Head across town to Asakusa, Tokyo's old town, where you can soak in the atmosphere of the Tokyo of old, and also visit Sensoji, Tokyo's oldest temple, and wander down Nakamasai, a shopping street that has been providing temple visitors with a variety of traditional, local snacks and tourist souvenirs for centuries. You'll then take a boat cruise on the Sumida River, passing under 12 different bridges. Disembark in Hamaruku Garden, an Edo period Japanese garden surrounded by the Shire Dome District's futuristic skyscrapers. A great example of how Japan is a land of contrasts. Here you'll disembark and you'll stop for a cup of steaming matcha and Japanese sweets in a tea house on a small island in the park's lake. Now, day 3 is a day of leisure, so it's a free day. So we're not suggesting stay around the hotel. What we are suggesting is to chat with your travel advisor and use this day to do something that you're specifically interested in. So the first day was about touring and getting an understanding of Japan. This day is about going to see something different. Now, this might be going to a sumo wrestling stable, going to a sumo wrestling event, maybe going to the fish markets, maybe going and learning about manga, maybe going and doing a cosplay or something that is really traditionally Japanese. So this free day works out very, very well for you to get something that interests you in Japan, because there is so much to see and do. Because after your day of leisure, on day 4, it's off to Hakone. Now, a little bit about a Hakone. This is a natural nature wonderland and is famous for its hot springs, outdoor pursuits, and a view of the nearby Mount Fuji. It is part of the Fuji Hakone Izu National Park and is less than 60 miles from Tokyo, thereby providing a popular weekend destination for city residents keen to escape the frenzy of the capital. Just look at these beautiful colors here. Beautiful Hakone has about everything a vacationer could wish for. Besides the towering mountains, lakes, and views of Mount Fuji, it is also blessed with interesting historical sites as well. Now, your itinerary will start by leaving Tokyo behind you as you make the 90-minute journey. Even though it's only 60 minutes during the quiet time, it can take up to 90 if it's in peak season. The gateway to Mount Fuji and the surrounding national parks. Your local guide for the day will accompany you on the Romance Car express train from Tokyo's Shinjuku station. Here you'll have an opportunity to visit the national park. You can take advantage of the numerous forms of transport on offer. A majestic replica pirate ship will sweep you across Lake Ashiniggo, and understand that this lake never freezes over because of how deep it is, and it was formed by a volcanic eruption around about 3,000 years ago. Another great option is to take the Hakone Tozen switchback train, which zigzags through the mountains, giving amazing views of the surrounding valleys. Visit Hakone Jinja, a delightful mountain Shinto sanctuary close to the lake, which is known for granting harmony in relationships. However, throughout the day, you will have the chance to get a glimpse of Mount Fuji. However, please keep in mind that she is a notoriously shy mountain, and it needs to be a clear day. So if it's a day like you see on the screen right now, click away. The tour will end at your accommodation. Tonight you will stay in a Japanese traditional inn. As you can see, you will sleep on futons laid out on tatami mats. Minimalistic in design, but everything you could possibly need. You'll eat delicious included meals, and then have an opportunity to relax in a piping hot onsen in your own room. This is a 4-star property, but there's also 5-star options available, such as the Gora Kadan. Something like out of a movie as you walk in and around the Zen light state. Your room and your surroundings are literally all about setting the mood, be it outside or inside. You will also eat exceptionally well. And the thing you need to remember about Japanese food, it has to taste good. It's also, when it's normally, they try to cook it as least amount as possible, so you get all those raw flavors, so to speak. But it's also about the layout in regards to the way it's presented. So it's supposed to be painting a picture of 1,000 words. So it's all about presentation. Every single step, from the time you collect the food to the time that it is consumed, it's supposed to be all about being in a state that sort of transforms you. And you do see that with the Japanese food and the way it is laid out. And yet, again, relax away in your own little hot tub at the end of the day. On day 5, you're off to Kyoto. But let us tell you a little bit about Kyoto first. Kyoto is a must-see destination in Japan. Kyoto is the nation's former capital and was the residence of the emperor from 794 until 1868. It is Japan's 7th largest metropolis, with a population of around about 1.5 million, and a city of culture that offers a plethora of temples, shrines, and other historically priceless structures that still survive today. With 2,000 religious buildings, including 1,600 Buddhist temples and 400 Shinto shrines, as well as palaces, gardens, and associated architecture, it is one of the best preserved cities in Japan and has been awarded UNESCO World Heritage status. Kyoto represents the Japan of old, and beyond the high-rise skyscrapers built as a monument to progress, the real monument to Japan's historical and cultural past can be found in the city's narrow alleyways, where the tea houses abound and kimono-clad geisha hurry from elegant function to function. This is a place to go back in time to Japan's mysterious past, where the echoes of the court nobility resonate at the imperial palace, and the search for contemplation can be found in the Zen rock gardens. So your day, leaving Hakone, you're off to Odawara Station. You'll be picked up by a driver, taken to the station, and then you'll be zipped away, so to speak, on the Shinkansen bullet train, reaching speeds of up to 185 miles per hour. It will take about 2 hours to get from Hakone to Kyoto. Then you'll be transferred privately to your hotel. This will be your choice, working with your travel advisor, maybe the Kyoto Tokyu Hotel. And then on day 6, you've got a full day touring in and around Kyoto. Today, you'll explore the former imperial capital with a knowledgeable local guide, utilizing Kyoto's comprehensive bus system to visit some of Kyoto's World Heritage sites. You'll start your day with a visit to the Golden Pavilion, which was originally built as a retirement villa for the shogun. After his death, it became a Buddhist temple at his request and is now one of Kyoto's most famous temples. Nijo Castle is an ornamental castle and was built by the founder of the Edo Shogunate as his Kyoto residence and is surrounded by stunning surrounding gardens, as you can see from this aerial shot. The main building was completed in 1603, however you'll have a chance to explore. It is famous also for its architecture and decorated sliding doors and chirping nightingale floors as well. It is certainly a masterpiece, be it inside or outside in the gardens or just on the outskirts of the property itself. It has something that you will cherish for years and years to come. We then continue on to Kyoto's Kitchen. Take a walk down Nishiki Market, a narrow 5-block-long shopping street lined by more than 100 shops and restaurants. Often known as Kyoto's Kitchen, this lively retail market specializes in all things food-related, which will mean fresh seafood, produce, knives, and cookware, and is a great place to find seasonal foods. It's also got some Kyoto specialities here as well, such as Japanese sweets, pickles, dried seafood, and sushi. You've got to have sushi when you're in Japan. You'll end the day and you can decide where you go. You may want to visit the Pure Water Temple Palace. From the 40-foot high veranda jutting out from the main hall, you can enjoy amazing views of the whole of Kyoto, whilst pondering the fact that both the main hall and veranda were built without the use of any nails or any kind of joiners. Be aware that it is a little bit of a steep walk up the hill, but definitely worthwhile. However, you may decide instead to visit the Senjusa Hall, a temple which is Japan's longest wooden structure at around about 400 feet. It is famous for its statues. 1001 statues of Kennen, the goddess of mercy. In the center of the main hall sits a large wooden statue of a 1,000-armed Kennen that is flanked on each side by 500 statues of human-sized 1,000-armed Kennen standing in 10 rows. Together they make for an awesome sight, as you can see here by this picture alone. Day 7, it is time to say goodbye. Your day is free until your shared transfer to the Kenzai airport, which is around about 60 minutes away. You will then jump on board EVA Air or Cathay Pacific or any of those airlines that service Kyoto onto your next journey throughout Asia or maybe returning to North America. So that brings us to the end of our Japan virtual vacation. It was just a nice little bit of an overview of the 4 main islands and also of the Golden Route itinerary. Hopefully we've spawned a little bit of interest and show you what Japan has to offer. Of course, we'd love you to speak to your travel advisor moving forward if you have any questions whatsoever to do with Japan or any of the destinations that we service throughout the world. And if you do want to know a little bit more, speak to your travel advisor and they can get the e-copy of our brochures sent out to you, which can be our Asia, Africa, and also our South Pacific brochure as well. But the fun doesn't stop there. We'll be continuing our virtual vacations throughout the globe. And next month, on July 9th, we are off to Tahiti. And Tahiti is one of the few places that is now open back up in regards to US travel. So for those that are looking to get away post-COVID-19, Tahiti is open for business. So speak to your travel advisor. We're then going to the next week, the 16th of July, we're heading off to South Australia. Capital Adelaide, places that are famous, the Barossa Valley, some great wines come out of the Barossa. Most likely, if you've drunk an Australian wine, it's been a Barossa. Also got Kangaroo Island, where you've got beautiful wildlife, wilderness and wine there as well. And also places such as Flinders Ranges, places such as Wilpena Pound. The list goes on. You're going to absolutely love South Australia. It's a place where you could spend a couple of weeks. Then we're off to Bali on Thursday, July the 23rd. Indonesia, Bali, and we're going to show you some great beaches, some great hiking, some great temples, and just what Bali has to offer. And then on July 30, off to the islands of Fiji. So if you're interested in any of these destinations, please let your travel advisor know, and they will be up to sign you up or send you a link so you can sign up to our virtual vacation for any of these destinations. Of course, I'd like to answer any of the questions that may have come through over the last 45 minutes or so we'll do that now. I'll just start from the top. I can see some people here really enjoyed the Beach Boys at the start, so thank you very much for that. Happy, I can see you were one of those people. I love the Beach Boys. I don't think it matters how old you are, how young you are. The Beach Boys always keeps you pretty happy and excited, so I love the Beach Boys. And as I touched on earlier, Japan has some great surfing options that not a lot of people don't know about, which is great. I can see here that there's some people wanting to know about the maps. Yeah, so if anyone's interested, I'm happy to share information from today's presentation. I can't give you all the slides, but I'm more than happy to share information with you. Got a person asking here, can we tie this in with other Asian countries? Yeah, definitely, Donna. Today was all about Japan, but if you have any other destination in Asia, speak to your travel advisor, and they can tee it up, and you can bring it all together as a one package for sure. Next question is, when is the best time to go? That's really up to yourself, and that came through from Simon. Simon, in regards to traveling, it doesn't really matter what time of the year. Japan has something to offer. If you want to go skiing, you're going to look at January, February. If you want cherry blossoms, you're looking at April, May. If you want to avoid the summer rush, you're probably looking at April, May, and then going over into July, August. But Japan, with a country running from north to south, it literally is open all year round, just depending on what you want to see and do. So it is a great destination. Question here came in from Jennifer. Is it safe? Jennifer, I can tell you, I've been to Japan numerous times, and I would put it up there as the number one country that I've been to that I feel in regards to my safety. And I've traveled all around the world. I just love Japan. It's one of those places that I could, feel like I could let my children, I'm not going to say roam the streets, but I'd feel very comfortable them walking around by themselves. And also people are so friendly and go out of their way. It is really a country that I have no problems in regards to recommending in regards to safety. And I feel like just you're looking at the way in which they've handled the whole COVID situation, less than 20,000 cases, they are really all about the people and making sure everybody is taken care of. If you have clients that have joined the presentation, they won't automatically get that. We will send you a link to all of our travel advisors, and your travel advisors, you can more than happy to share this with anyone that you know that may be interested. So we leave that up to our travel advisors. Matt, yep, thank you for the kind words. And I can see some other people here just saying thank you. I appreciate that, guys. We do know that it's a hard time at the moment, obviously, with the coronavirus, and the travel industry is obviously one of the ones that's going to take a little bit longer to come back, but we've got so many great travel advisors out there that are working diligently and hard to ensure that we all get back out traveling sooner rather than later, and we're just hoping that we can be here to help moving forward. So thank you all for your participation today. I'd like to say I hope that we can see you again on our next virtual vacation somewhere in Asia, Africa, or the South Pacific. I'd love everybody to stay kind to one another. Keep your fingers crossed, and before you know it, we'll all be out there traveling again. Stay safe, and we look forward to talking to you soon. Bye for now.